Hello and welcome to Wake and Bake News, and I'm your host, Shampoo VTA, Kelly Davis. And how are you on this Tuesday, May 17, 2016? And I'm sorry that I wasn't online yesterday very much, but we have family stuff going on. Kurt's mom has gotten a new bionic knee. She had knee surgery, right? So I've been dealing with babysitting her house, and she has construction going on over there, and she's in the hospital for a week. So this week's going to be touch and go for us, but she's doing well, depending on, of course, how she was doing. But she's doing really well. She came right out of the anesthetic yesterday, which we were very happy with. What is your problem? Tiki! What's your dealio? What's your dealio? Oh, and he flies away. He didn't want to play with me today. So the boys are over at the hospital, my husband and my son right now visiting with Nana. My glasses are smudgy. I'm exhausted. Okay, so this weekend on Sunday we went to Solvang, and then I got home in time, an hour late, but in time to watch Freddie Pritchard's show, and then basically I just fell asleep to his show. I was so exhausted. We were walking on the beach, and we just went up there for a nice drive in the morning, and we got there right in time for one of their Danish places to open, and we got some bitchin' ass Danishes and some coffee for breakfast. It's like $8, for their Danish and coffee, which is delicious, worth it. And then we just walked around town and looked at trinkets and stuff, and I thought about buying something, but I didn't buy anything. And then we went and had lunch at a bit of Denmark, which is like, we love going there. We had the frikadella, I think you pronounce it frikadella, which is like meatballs. Tiki, why are you being so mad? He's mad because Daddy's been gone for 2 days. And he's like pissed. Where is he? He's standing in a tiny little room at the hospital, visiting with his mom, who's laying in bed, and they want her to get up and start being ambulatory and do 10-toe things, pumps. I guess an hour to start getting ready to use her new knee, her bionic knee. It's amazing. She's 85. We're living in an amazing time. We were really worried for her. And she woke up a little bit. Ooh, she told me an interesting story that Kurt says, I've never heard this story in my life. While she was waking up, she said she stopped me from using a chainsaw one time when I was carving tikis, which I was very upset about. But I didn't, understand. I always knew there was stuff going on with her. I didn't understand what it all meant. Something must have happened that makes her feel so concerned about these things. So, and I just don't know what it is. So she stopped me from using this chainsaw, and I was like, I thought maybe it was a noise or something like this that was really bothering her. And it turned out what she was upset about was when she was a child and they were first building her house, her farmhouse in Canada. And I think she must have been about 8, she said, something like that, 7 or 8. There was a man working on the construction who cut himself on a rusty saw blade, and got lockjaw and died, and she said she never forgot that. And my husband goes, until now, apparently he'd never even heard this story. She hasn't forgotten it, but she didn't tell him this before. So he was like, what? And she said that the house, her family's house, was haunted, I guess, after that, because of this person dying, and he had kids and stuff. And she was like, I suppose that wouldn't happen today with modern medicine. And I'm like, no, I don't think it would, And that's kind of the part I was telling my husband is a little bit like my grandpa when he got senile. She isn't senile, but there's a little time traveling that older people do, where one minute they're talking to you, and the next minute they're talking to their dead sister that you just happen to look like right now. Even my grandpa, before he passed away as sort of out of it, as because he had dementia really bad. But as out of it as he was, he would fade back in and conversate with you, and then he'd be like, "Where's my dogs? Where's my dogs?" Dogs that died when he was like 17 on a farm in Ohio. You know, a long time ago. So they kind of travel time and space, and they remember things that from a long, long time ago, and they talk about it, but then they come back, you know. So there's something about going through the past a lot when you're that age. And she was kind of doing that. And I think I was telling Kurt, oh no, this is what my grandpa was doing. He was telling us all kinds of stories we'd never heard before, you know, just like parts of his memory opened, I guess, and released things, you know. And it was really odd too after my grandmother died. We went to go visit him in an old age home, and of course he doesn't know what's going on, and he thinks this is work, and he thinks these are his bosses telling him what to do, and he's mad at his bosses, you know. But in this like break room or something where all the old people were, I'm gonna hit this right, where all these old people were, he suddenly did, like there were people sitting all around us, and I was sitting next to him, and there's a lady picking lint and everything next to us, and he just turned to me and he goes, Grandma came to me last night in my dream, and she said we did a really good job burying her, because he had just lost his wife and come out to California. And I went, like, whoa. It was weird. And then he went back into, you know, and he did that when she died too. He like came out of it a little bit, maybe the stress or something, but he knew something was going on. And you could tell that he could pick up on that things were, you know, like he didn't realize we were leaving, you know, because day to day was very confused a lot. And she's not like that. But when I saw her like that, I was like, oh yes, I had two grandparents like this, you know, and she kind of just showed it a tiny bit when she was coming out of the anesthesia, which I think is probably pretty common. But it did remind me. I was like, oh boy, I remember being with them. My mom had this Uncle Bill, right? From Ohio, I think. Yeah, Ohio. And he used to own a soda pop company called Swallows, Bill Swallow, right? So you can still find his bottles. Swallows, you know, bubble up and stuff like this before the war, before, I guess, sugar got cut off, the supply for sugar during the war, so he had to turn to a water company. Anyway, he liked to write books about the family and everything. And he just sat at my grandmother's funeral and just started telling this story to nobody, you know, to nobody. And I was sitting there with because I had a big ass video camera that must have been this big at the time, and I just turned on him and I started listening to him, and I found out all about his business and, you know, what happened and everything. And he just it was very interesting. He just told this story to the air, and I was like, oh, I'm paying attention to this. This is important. Tiki! Shh. So I've been in the land of old people. And now it's time for a dab. Let's do a little virtual toke of that. Let's see if any smoke comes out. Oh, it does. There you go. Oh, virtual dab on the cool new dab thing. I notice it's bent a little though. I'm like, did I do that or? All right. So I actually have some really interesting things that popped up since Tiki. Just a second. Tiki. I'm not competing with you. Shush. Shush. He's so mad that Kurt isn't here. He's there screaming out the door. Where are you? Daddy. Okay. So the first story I'm going to try to read you here is and I'll do something about his squawkiness. He must think that's Kurt in the shower. It's Sean. Sean's hanging out with us for a couple of weeks or something. He needs a place to hang. So we were like, yes, please come crash in our son's old bed since he's never coming home. I'll adopt you. So I found this hilarious story. It's called USA Today's Map Blames Wyoming for Colorado Marijuana Smuggling. And boy, I suspect something. Okay, this is from USA Today. Now, like I said, I found out that USA Today also owns Ventura County Star here in this town. And remember, I was saying our Ventura County Star must have got duped on a story about marijuana regulations in the county or the town on April 1st. They were going to have some big meeting that, of course, there was nothing a peep about afterwards. So then no follow-up story, nothing. So then LA Times gets tricked into thinking that the UN said that they were going to legalize everything. And they even had some guy that was a spokesman with video and everything. And, hey, Tiki! Oh my goodness, he's being terrible. I got to do something about him. He is just being so rotten right now. He's just being too loud. Westward. USA Today map blames Wyoming for Colorado marijuana smuggling. Geography is a thing. In recent years, we've written about plenty about Wyoming's unhappiness over Colorado's marijuana laws. Back in January 2015, Wyoming Governor Matt Mead said his state wouldn't be joining a failed lawsuit filed against Colorado by Oklahoma and Nebraska over Amendment 64, which legalized limited recreational cannabis sales here. However, he made it clear that he disliked Colorado's cannabis approach and left open the possibility that he would sue the federal government for allowing our state to go in its own way. And that's not to mention anecdotal claims that Wyoming's pot profiles cars with Colorado license plates, or reports that weed busts are up in many Wyoming locations since Amendment 64 went into effect. So imagine the chagrin of USA Today readers directly north of Colorado's border when they perused a news article about marijuana smuggling and eyeballed a map that made it seem as if Wyoming was the root of the problem. A Mediate Post shares numerous tweets needling USA Today over the graphic, including this one. Map making at USA Today must have been smoking, or map maker at USA Today must have been smoking too much when making this map. That's Wyoming, not Colorado. Yes, USA Today quickly fixed the gaffe, but not before being subject to social media ridicule. That's still ongoing at this writing. In regard to the story itself, which bears a May 16th date stamp, the first person quoted as Tom Gorman, director of the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force, an anti-pot law enforcement group whose anti-marijuana jihad has been largely fueled by Sky is Falling reports that cannabis advocates such as Marijuana Policy Project, it's all right, Mason Tebert have branded biased and non-scientific. But it sure makes for grabby copy, or it might have if everyone hadn't been distracted by the whole Wyoming-Colorado mix-up. Here's a look at the corrected map. I got him over on the chair. Maybe he'll quiet down. Oh, you're being a little peckerhead. He's protecting boxes again. I guess that means he's in heat. He's nesting. He's like, get the fuck away from my box. Ah! Hey, 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 hey. Psst. Why are you being so loud? Why are you being so loud? Why are you being so loud? Is that the nature of a bird? Am I being silly asking you to be quiet? Huh? The noises you are making are not appreciated. Okay, so anyway, like I was saying, LA Times got tricked. Ventura County Star, that's owned by USA Today, got tricked. And now I think USA Today got tricked. Oh, how'd it go?
Good.
Good. Everything go good?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'll read this. High Times Magazine. Congressional forces vote against studying medical marijuana as alternative to painkillers. Okay. While there is increasing evidence that medical marijuana could be a viable alternative to opioids in terms of pain management, a new report indicates that Congress is still not prepared to give the scientific community the green light to dig any deeper into this progressive concept. Earlier last week, the U.S. House Rules Committee voted against two proposed amendments that would have required a special pain management task force to consider how weed might be used as an alternative or in conjunction with prescription painkillers. Both amendments, submitted by Representatives Dana Rohrabacher and Jared Polis, who would have given Uncle Sam's new painkiller detail a crew consisting of various federal drug and health agencies the opportunity to look into the potential for marijuana to serve as an alternative to opioids for pain management, as well as conduct research that compares the medical applications of marijuana and opioids for pain management. In an effort to sell the importance of allowing the task force to include medical marijuana in its reviews, Polis explained before the House committee that medical marijuana has already shown significant promise in deterring overdose incidents stemming from the abuse of prescription narcotics. Remember, we just lost Prince, and we probably lost him to prescription narcotics. Medical marijuana is a possible and likely way to reduce opioid prescription painkiller abuse for chronic pain, Polis said. Unfortunately, it's hardly been explored due to government policy, in large part because the federal government's monopoly on legal cultivation and studies. And who's been pushing for that to stay that way? Probably pharmaceutical lobbyists. Pointing out a number of prominent studies, Polis said that while he does not expect medical marijuana to have a flawless success rate when it comes to the treatment of severe pain, it is worth including in the upcoming federal examination because it does work for some patients. If it can avoid going into narcotics like opioids, which often lead to abuse, I think it can be an important part of the arsenal in dealing with the plague of epidemic of opioid abuse, Polis said. According to marijuana.com, the Rules Committee decided against allowing two amendments to advance to the House floor. The Congressional panel just rejected a third amendment, which, in addition to Polis, had the support of Representatives Scott Perry and Bob Dole. That would have prevented cannabidiol, CBD, the non-intoxicating compound of the cannabis plant, from being treated as a controlled substance. However, once all of the pro-marijuana amendments were eliminated from the table, the pain management research bill was swiftly approved on the House floor in a vote of 255 to 163. Unfortunately, this means that thousands of Americans will likely continue to die every year as a result of opioid overdoses, while the promising solution, one which is now legal in almost half the nation, remains an outlawed medication in the eyes of the federal government. Eureka Alert. The global source for science news, eurekaalert.org. Canada's plan to legalize marijuana contravenes UN's international conventions, Canadian Medical Association Journal. The Canadian government's plan to legalize marijuana contravenes its current legal obligations to the United Nations International Drug Control Conventions, states a commentary in CMAJ, Canadian Medical Association Journal. The federal government should immediately take proactive steps to seek a reservation to the marijuana provisions of these treaties and/or to initiate their reignition in light of its legalization plans. Renegotiation in light of its legalization plans, writes Dr. Stephen Hoffman and Ms. Rujin Habib, both with the Global Strategy Lab at the University of Ottawa Centre for Health, Law, Policy and Ethics. If these diplomatic efforts fail, Canada must formally withdraw from these treaties to avoid undermining international law and compromising its global position. 3. Legally binding international treaties control or prohibit access to various drugs around the world, including marijuana. Other jurisdictions, such as Colorado and Washington in the United States and Uruguay, have legalized marijuana and violated current UN conventions. The authors suggest that the most feasible option for Canada is to withdraw from these treaties. The federal government could then fulfill its campaign promise to legalize marijuana without violating international law. Formally withdrawing from outdated treaties like these is a country's sovereign right. It may also be a moral duty if the government believes the convention's required policies are harmful, states the authors. It is your duty to withdraw from them if you feel that these treaties are harmful to your citizens. Oh, that's a big fuck you to the UN! That is a big, giant fuck you to the United States. It's lovely. So that looks like a gigantic middle finger to the United States-controlled UN and their international drug policies, which came directly from our government and came directly from a corrupt guy named Richard Nixon. I mean, wow, I think that's awesome. And I think that it's absolutely true that if you feel that you are involved in a treaty that is harmful to your people, it is your duty to withdraw from it. If you become convinced that medical marijuana is medical and has a possibility to help people and save lives, then it is your duty to withdraw from prohibition. It's not just, oh, it's too bad about that. This could be you being in trouble with your health and needing this, and you may not even realize it, you know. It's your duty to explore every possibility for health. I thought that was amazing. Okay, study. States are losing out on billions of dollars by keeping pot illegal. And I said losing out, more like lost. Lost out. I mean, think about it. Marijuana was legalized for medical use in California in 96. This is now 2016 going on 2017. Very close, very quick, right? I mean, that's like what? Getting on now to 26 years, like a really long time. And how long has that market been wild and free, like the Wild West? Maybe I'm kind of, observing the end of the Wild West, and there's something kind of sad and a bummer about that. But it's also good. It's good that things will settle down a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like the teenage years or something. Mark Twain lamented the loss of the West, but understood that it was necessary. Little boys can't play anymore. There's something sad about the end of a Wild West type era, and this certainly has been like that. But then again, think of all the money you're not going to have just flowing away from you like a river. Like, I've noticed that Jesse Ventura, there's this guy, Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, he's a politician. Anyway, he's got the name Ventura. He totally owns it. This town doesn't own it. He does. They don't even understand their rights to virtual property. So it's like a childhood's end. Like a new thing is coming that they're going to have to get wise to, because otherwise they're going to get taken for a ride kind of thing. So this is more people getting wise to the fact that they've been taken for a ride and it's cost them a lot of money. And if they need to get off the ride and stop the hemorrhaging of cash. So it isn't just going to lose, it has lost billions of dollars in the last 20 so years. I mean, it's seriously not good, not smart. So this is the Washington Post wonk blog. Steady, states are losing out on billions of dollars by keeping pot illegal. All right, now at least this photo, it's not attractive. I mean, let's face it, it's not attractive. But at least this photo is not of a 17-year-old, and it is not of a crazy person with marijuana glasses, and it is not of a homeless person who looks like he's about to stab you, or he's on narcotics or something. Because the news just loves to make everything so flashy and amazing and eye-catching. So the guy smoking apparently is supposed to, grab your attention instead of being threatened by the guy smoking. They're trying to find another way now to, grab your attention. Things have to look dangerous. Normal doesn't sell. The federal government and most states are throwing away $28 billion in yearly tax revenue by not legalizing marijuana, according to a new analysis from the Tax Foundation, in an independent think tank. The bulk of the revenue, $20.5 billion of it, would accrue the state through the collection of excise tax on marijuana sales, general sale tax, and income and payroll tax levied on workers and businesses in a mature legal marijuana industry. The federal government would take in another $7.5 billion primarily from income and payroll taxes and $500 million in excise taxes if marijuana were to be taxed the same way tobacco is. $28 billion in taxes waiting to be collected. Potential yearly state and federal tax revenues from a fully legal marijuana industry. These are estimates relying on a certain number of assumptions about the size of the marijuana market, $45 billion in sales annually, and the way that governments decide to tax the sale of the drug, For instance, if the federal government decided to slap a 10% surtax on marijuana sales rather than a tobacco-style per-pound tax, that 500 million excise tax figure would grow to 5.3 billion. As German Lopez points out over at Vox, those figures account for just a tiny slice of annual government spending in the United States. So don't expect to balance your state budget on the back of marijuana smokers anytime soon. Still, 28 billion is nothing to scoff at. The Tax Foundation analysis points out that marijuana tax revenues in Colorado and Washington are exceeding projections by a considerable margin. Colorado initially projected it would receive 70 million in annual taxes on marijuana sales and excise taxes, but it is on track to pull in 140 million this year. The money goes to fund things like like school construction, where'd I see that? School construction and drug abuse prevention campaigns. Critics point out that marijuana legalization carries some social costs, too, as people may become more likely to abuse the drug and suffer the negative consequences of abuse and addiction if the drug is more widely available. I think this is too simplistic a way to describe it. So I'm going to tell you what I think of that ridiculous new argument that they're coming up with. I have hemp shampoo. I have marijuana lotion that I make myself, medicated lotion. I'm going to someday have, toothpaste with hemp or perhaps cannabis in it. And probably none of these things are going to get me high. But I will be using them, and they will not make me addicted, and I will not be abusing it. So this concept of a regulated cannabis market is childish and cartoon-like, because people are going to be washing their hair with it. People are going to be brushing their teeth. Their clothes will be made of it, their houses. So yes, what critics point out is absolutely true. The more you regulate this product, the more likely people are to use it. But to say that they're going to abuse the drug or suffer negative consequences is a childlike view of the world. Because people are going to be using this product in so many different ways that will have nothing to do with getting high. You're painting a tiny little room, a closet, when I'm telling you there's a huge house on the outside that needs a good coat of paint. You're seeing just a tree, and I'm telling you there's a forest. Understand? So to view the new coming market in this very shallow, myopic way, where we're just all going to be hitting bongs, ding dong all day long, is a childish cartoon view of what's about to happen, and really tells you who you're talking to. People that really don't understand and are about to be just swept away. So let's continue. But as the Tax Foundation analysis points out, people are already using and abusing marijuana. Really? I abused my shampoo this morning. I abused it, guys. I abused that hemp shampoo and my marijuana lotion I made from the leaves from my plant and some lotion. I abused it all up and down my skin. And boy, I'm high as a kite from using shampoo. This is a childlike version of reality. Grow up. Your propaganda is ridiculous. Okay, regardless of legality, According to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, over 13% of Americans aged 12 and older, or 35 million people, used marijuana in 2014, and 4.2 million of them met the criteria of substance abuse or dependence, which is very low because we're in the midst of prohibition. And I doubt very much there are kids out there 12 years old hitting a joint. And if they were, I would prefer that over your goddamn oxycodone that you want to give them because they had their tonsils out at 9. Then mom and dad gave them another dose of oxycodone at home because you didn't give proper dosing instructions, and the child is now dead. The child is not going to die at 12 from a joint. The child is going to die from a tonsillectomy where he should have got ice cream, and instead he got a bottle of death from a pharmaceutical company. And the FDA said it was okay to give it to that child at that age. So talk some more of your shit, Washington Post. Try. It's not working. We're already paying a social cost of marijuana abuse. In other words, increased tax revenues could help offset those costs. That's a ridiculous argument. You're an idiot. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And marijuana prohibition carries a whole host of costs of its own. Oh, good for you. You just sucked up to some of our argument, but you still are selling shit. Roughly $500 million a year to arrest people for simple marijuana possession, billions more to arrest and prosecute people who sell and traffic the drug, and the difficult to quantify cost of restricting the ability of millions of people who would prefer to use a drug that, by any reasonable metric, is considerably less harmful than alcohol. Oh, it's so good to see that the children have caught up to us thus far. But, oh my God, are you crippled and hobbling? I have seen a man use marijuana in a suppository, rub it all over his skin in a lotion, creamy himself, and it did not get him high. Oh my goodness, what do you expect from meatball morons? Right? They just see somebody like me smoking a pipe or using a vaporizer, and their little brains are like, that's the only way you can use marijuana. And I'm like, I'm looking at his dumb face right now. Christopher Ingram writes about politics. Really? Drug policy and all other things data. Really? Christopher, you need to get out more, sweetheart. You're cloistered, okay? You're living in a little fantasy world. What you need to do is go and look at what hemp has actually been used for in the past, because it used to be used for poultices. And some of the pain relief that you dipshit morons are talking about are applying it to sore muscles like this, like you would a mustard plaster or something else like that. But this simpleton dipwad fuckhead is from the derp time of prohibition. I'm looking at your stupid young face right now, child, and I swear to God, you need to get outside more. You need to get some more experience because you are a dipwad. Oh my God. Oh my God. How many products have you seen me show on the show that was not something that you ingest, that was not unless it was food, it was hemp seed, right? And all of these things are, somewhat illegal under federal law because you can't get hemp seed in America. It's there just now after 30 years or 70 years or something, planting it in West Virginia, a place where this shit should have been growing this whole time. But we get our hemp seed that's a product that we use in food. Are you listening, Christopher? Are you getting this? Write it down, little brainiac. Okay? So they use it in fucking health food. They use it to create oil. You can make a fuel for your car. This is the way people are going to be exposed to the market and get used to the fact that marijuana is not a dangerous fucking illicit drug. That it's actually an amazing industrial product. And it always has been. And the people that pay your fucking newspaper, probably pharmaceutical ads, for old people and oxycodone and shit like that want you to write this. They want you to write this, Christopher. They want you to paint this little special place where you think that only people that smoke marijuana exist in the world. And we're not going to have it like in our cars or as the car. And it's going to be lighter and stronger than some metals or plastics that you would have as the front end or side or back end, and Henry Ford used it, and you're a fucking derp if you don't know all this, and you're sitting here just talking about it. It's a narcotic. It's a narcotic. I don't even give a shit if you're kind of on our side. I just want to do the football thing where I put my hand in your face and push you on the ground and just run over top of you because you are so. No, move. No. Oh, that's nice. That's what you thought? That was what I thought a year and a half ago. Things are moving so quickly. You have no idea. Things are moving so quickly. You have no idea. I'm on a rocket sled. You're over there on a fucking tricycle trying to keep up. Wait a minute. But if it gets legalized, more people will use it. You're starting to think they're dipwad, but not enough, okay? It's a huge market. It's not just about ingesting it as a drug or a health product. It's also a food. It's a fiber. Wake the fuck up. Why do you think Scientific America or whatever, or, now I'm forgetting the magazine. The one where you were always building cool things. It wasn't Scientific America. But anyway, they were saying that this was a new, like, industrial miracle plant because they didn't even know that it helped fucking cancer and shit back then. Oh my God, Christopher. You need so much help. I hope you get it. Sweetie pies. Oh, your world is so tiny. It's so tiny. You see the world in such a tiny way. You know, if you're going to be in business, you have to see the world in a much different way. You have to see what products are made of, special metals and things that are worth a lot of money, markets that you could buy stock in. You have to pay attention to those things. Not just, the medical application or that it's used as a street drug. It's also could build your car, your house. You know, it could be skincare. It could be a whole beauty care market. It could somehow help dental, like instead of being all tense before you get dental work and they're giving you fucking laughing gas, you get a vaporizer with some cannabis oil and this helps you to relax. So, and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm chilling. And in an hour or two, you're going to be fine, and it's actually healthy for you and it's not starving your brain. But dummy here, Christopher Ingram, in his little world of derp does not see what I see, which is a massive market that is going to really explode. Why is this a fuse on a bomb? Okay, I'll tell you why. This is why. Because it was an ignored product for so long that could have and did have such a vast impact on the market. That's what makes it disruptive change, not because it's something new you discovered like technology or computer, quantum physics or some shit like that. It's a technology you denied like you were the fucking Catholic Church, asshole. And just now you're going, well, maybe the heathens have something there. Shut up, move. Seriously, boom, get the fuck out of the way. Okay? Climb back up the tree. Play with your fucking poo. Wake up, Washington Post morons, Stop sucking that pharmaceutical dick. That's what I'm saying. Got some of that lobbyist on your chin right there. You can wipe that off. It's embarrassing. Oh, okay. So that was pretty much the end of all of my stories for today. And now I have to run off and work with my brother because he's going to show me how to set up the guitar. And apparently setting up the guitar involves things like, all right, oh my goodness, no bumping the paint. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to adjust the pickups, and I have to make sure that the strings are just the right height here. So I'm going to have to learn how to adjust all these little dealy boppers and make sure the pickups are the right height away from the strings. And I wired all this up correctly, and this is the tone and the volume and tone, which I'm pretty sure I did. Because I did a whole Volkswagen, and like I said, you have to treat it like an archaeological dig. Take every piece of parts, carefully categorize it, draw a picture of it, take pictures of the way it used to look, you know, because if you put something together backwards, you probably will. So now I'm going to go see if I can get this thing set up and get it playing again, and have a cool other guitar, a nice beater guitar. It smells like paint. I'm so happy. Tee. All right. Okay, so you say hi and goodbye, and I'm gonna try, you know, and hopefully I'll be back with you again tomorrow. But like I said, they're going very well with Nana, so expect me to see me tomorrow. But who knows? There's all kinds of construction and things going on, and we have to babysit her house, so I'm here and there and back again, you know. So I'll try to be with you this week. All right, so take care. Adios.